You're welcome to today's class. So today we are looking at plant conservation. What's plant conservation? It has to do with the management and preservation of plant species in a way as to avoid their extinction. Can I take that again? Conservation of plants simply means the management and preservation of plant species in such a manner to avoid what their extinction. Yes, extinction means a situation whereby that plant species has gone out of existence. Maybe they keep exploiting that plant, maybe the plant keep undergoing that plant species keeps undergoing deforestation. They're always exploiting it either for firewood or either for one medicinal reason or the other. Before you know it, they keep using that species without replacement. And before you know it, the last species will be gone and that plant species would start to be what? Extinct. So plant conservation is now a way of managing the plant species you have in a way as what to ensure that whenever you need that plant species, they will always be available. Do you get that? So plant conservation is simply what the art of managing, just like in our various homes or in our with our personal resources, the way we was a kind of economize with the way we use our resources in such a way that okay, it will be able to last for a long period of time for us. It's just a similar idea to conservation. It's not entirely what conservation, but conservation has to do with what replacement. You replace, you use, you replace, you make sure that okay, before you use the last one, you have already what planted. Maybe you kept, if it's a seed producing plant, you make sure that you have already extracted some seed and kept, so that later on you can still plant that species of plant. So I believe you've gotten the concept of conservation. So plant conservation is just a way of managing and preserving plants to make sure that they are always made available for future generations. Now there are two ways of doing plant conservation. We have two ways of doing plant conservation. One of them is what? In situ conservation. In situ conservation. Then the second one is what? Ex situ. So starting with the first type of conservation, the in situ conservation. It is the process or the system of preserving plants in their natural environment or in their natural habitat. Like when plants naturally, you have already established maybe a national park or a forest reserve for some plant species. So that's a natural environment, is a very large vast of land. You naturally grow different plants in that environment. That's in situ conservation of plants. When plants are preserved in their natural habitat. So that's what an in situ conservation. Then there are some advantages and disadvantages or challenges that goes with in situ conservation. Let's start with the advantages or the pluses. One of the advantages of in situ conservation of plants is that it enables the plant to thrive naturally in the environment, because that is their natural environment. That is the environment they are well adapted to. So naturally, plants thrive in what? In their natural habitat. That's for in situ conservation. The second advantage that is attached to in situ conservation is that it ensures what? Biodiversity, and it preserves the ecosystem. What is biodiversity? Is the system where you have what? Various species of plants, variety. Variety, they say, is the spice of life. So it ensures what? Diversity, because it's a large vast of land, it's just a natural habitat. So you have what? Some tendencies to have many more species of plants being preserved. By so doing, you see that the ecosystem is also what's being preserved. So that's what's the second advantage of in situ conservation. What else is gotten from in situ conservation? you will see that it allows what natural evolution and adaptation of plants to take place. Okay, so that's the pluses of what in situ conservation. So what about the challenges? What are the disadvantages involved? One of them is that is what exposes the plants are vulnerable to pests. They are vulnerable to diseases. So vulnerability of the plants to pests and diseases. Then the second thing is what the plants are also vulnerable to what deforestation and natural disasters. Yes, anything can happen. There can be drought, there can be earthquake, there can be any natural disaster at all, because it's just a natural environment. So the plants are exposed to deforestation. There is tendency that the plants somehow someone can go there to exploit them. They can get deforested, and then natural disasters can happen to the plants. Then another disadvantage that is spotted there is that it will require a large land. Remember I said that one good thing about it is that it ensures biodiversity. It encourages the preservation of more species of plants. So for it to do that, already that tells you that it requires what? Large piece of land. Then the other one is what? The second type of conservation is ex situ. Ex situ conservation. What's ex situ conservation? Ex situ conservation is now what? The preservation of plants in an artificial environment, or in other way around, you can say that it has to do with the preservation of plants outside their natural habitat. Something like establishing seed banks where you just go and preserve various seeds, or botanical garden where you are more specific with just few number of plant species, or even just a particular species of animal. It's just more what it is narrow. Do you get that? It is more narrow. So taking that again, ex situ conservation of plants, it has to do with what? Preservation of plants in artificial environment, or outside their natural habitat. So what are the advantages that goes with that? One of them is that it encourages what? Controlled growth and research, because it's just a small place. It is more let me say it is more restricted. Do you get that? So the growth, you can monitor the growth very well, and then you can have what? Some defined research in that what? Habitat. Do you get that? So it allows for controlled growth, it allows for controlled research. The tendencies of the plant species they are being tampered with are very, very rare. So whatever you're seeing there, even the pests and diseases, they are controlled. So you have more accuracy in your research. Then one of them is that rare species are easier to multiply. Yes, those species that you want, that they are rare, you can easily go out. You can just specifically go to preserve those species of plants. Okay, so the next thing is that the seeds and plants can be stored for many, many years. Yes, that's why we have seed banks. They are being preserved in one way or the other, so they can last. They can still be viable for long enough. Also, it has some disadvantages that are attached to it. One of them is that it is expensive to establish and maintain. Yes, it's not really a natural environment. So for you to maintain it, you have to try your best. You have to try your best to make it mimic the natural habitat. Do you get that? The act of maybe fertilizing, employing one technique or the other to see that the plants still feel like they are in their natural habitat. So it is expensive to establish, it is expensive to maintain. Then secondly, the plants, they may not be well adapted. Do you get it? They may not be well adapted to that environment compared to being adapted to their natural habitat. Then it does not ensure conservation of what? The whole ecosystem. What am I trying to say here? Biodiversity is not assured here. Do you get it? So the ecosystem is not all, may not be all that complete, because it's just a specific portion. You're just trying to what? Preserve some selected species of plants. So that biodiversity might not really be guaranteed in ex-situ conservation. So this takes us to the next thing, which is what? Pest management or pest control. We all know what is a pest, right? Okay, so what are pests? Pests are organisms that attack plants and causing them what? Damage. Do you get that? Pests or plant pests, they are organisms that attack plants, causing what? Thereby causing damages to such plants and their produce. They do so many harm to plants. They can reduce the quality of the plant yield. Do you get that? They reduce mostly what? The quality of the plant yield. They can also lead to the death of the plant. By the time they eat up maybe the roots of the plant, they keep eating up the leaves of the plant. The plants will be deprived of food because with the leaves, they can be able to carry out photosynthesis. But by the time the pest eats up the leaf, the plants gradually what? Dies because of lack of food production. So pests are a no-no to plants. They help or they function to destroy plants. So, still talking about conservation of plant species or plant conservation, we can see right here that pests are a threat. Do you get it? Pests are what? A threat to plant conservation. So there is every need to control or to manage pests. Alright, so pest control can be done in various ways. Pest control can be done in various ways. It can be done biologically. We have biological control of pests, whereby we use what? Living organisms to control pests. What do I mean? Yes, you use living organisms to control pests. Yes, pests are living organisms. Remember, they are mostly insects. Though rodents are also part of pests. We have different organisms as what? Pests that attack crops. So in biological control of pests, we use a living organism. For instance, if maybe is a plant or is a field or is a land or is a farm where we have pests like grasshoppers, they dominate that plant. They are the dominant pest in that plant. What can you do? You can go and bring what? Domestic fowl and let them into that farm with the intention that when those domestic fowl go to that farm, they will eat up the pests on that field. Then if it's a place where maybe rodents, rats are disturbing or they're eating up maybe yams in that plant, you can decide to bring cats to that farm with the intention that the cats, they will eat up the rats that are disturbing the plant. So do we get what biological control of pests is all about? It is the use of living organisms against living organisms. Do you get it? You use predators. Predators are larger organisms that feed on the smaller organism. That's the prey. Do you get it? So if there is a pest that is disturbing your farm, you can now say, okay, let me go and bring an animal I know that will deal with those my pests. So that's what for biological control of pests. So like I said, though our focus here is majorly biological control of pests, though we still have other control of pests. We have the cultural control, whereby you adopt different or good agricultural practices to ensure that you use up the pests on a particular land. Something like adopting crop rotation. And what is crop rotation? Is a situation of or the practice of planting different crops at different intervals. Do you get it? You rotate the crops. Maybe this season or this year, I plant beans on my farm. The next time I want to plant, I will rotate what I'll plant. Instead of planting beans, I will now decide to plant maybe maize, or I'll decide to plant cassava. What have I done? I have done crop rotation. So how does it affect pests, or how does it control pests? You will discover that maybe if there are some pests that thrive more on a beans farm, beans was the first crop I planted that year. If there are some organisms that thrive more on beans plants, so by the next season, if I should bring beans plants again to that farm, what do you think will happen? That means I'm encouraging them, or I'm making the environment so comfortable for them. I'm giving them what they want. Of course, they want to remain there. But seeing that, okay, this particular pest, they love beans, but they don't love cassava. What will I do? I'll go and bring cassava and plant on that land. So naturally, those pests, they will vacate that farmland because I have changed their diet. That is not what they eat. Naturally, they will migrate out of that farm, or they will die off. So that is what a cultural control, whereby you use crop rotation. You rotate the particular crops you plant. Another example of cultural control is maybe practicing shifting cultivation. That what we call bush fallowing, whereby you plant or you cultivate a land, then after that you now leave the land for some period of time before you come back to that land. That land is just dormant, you don't plant anything on that land. So what would happen there? You see that the period of dormancy on that land will make the pests to run, they will flee, they will go in search of another place that has what they that has what they will feed on. So that's the essence of what shifting cultivation as a means of pest control. Then there are so many other examples of cultural practices. We also have mechanical control of pests, whereby you do things like hand picking. You go to the farm, you hand pick what? You hand pick your pest. You can even shoot, maybe if it's bird, you can shoot them. Do you get that? So that's the mechanical control of pests. Then we also have another control, which is what the use of chemicals. The chemicals known as what pesticide to terminate pests. Yes, we have different pesticide for pests. If the pests are insects, you use insecticide. If the pests are rodents, you use what? Rodenticide. If they are birds, you use avicide. So they are all chemicals, and they are all what? Controls of pest on a plant or in a farmland. So the next we are going to look at pertaining to conservation of plants is what? Climate change. What is climate change? Yes, climate change, the climatic condition of a place. Is it hot? Is it raining? Is it dry? Do you get it? So the climatic condition of that place, how is the sunlight, how is the rainfall degree, and all of that. What are the impact of climate change on plants? Climate change have various or diverse effects on plants. Okay, like for instance, if the temperature of a place is too high, if you have hot temperature or very hot climatic condition, you see that the plant, they will not thrive. It will what? It will reduce the plant growth. Then talking about rainfall, if you have reduced rainfall, or let me say drought, or that is the absence of water in a place, of course what will happen to the plant? They will also wither, they will start wilting, they will die off. Another climatic change is something like flood. It could result from excessive rainfall. What is the impact of flood on plants? It makes what it attacks what? The plant root. It damages plant root by reducing what? The oxygen supply on that particular farmland. Then climatic changes could also alter what? The fruiting period of plants. The seasons of their fruiting. Climatic change can affect the fruiting of plants. It has so many diverse effects on plants. It can also increase what? Spread of pests and diseases. It can lead to loss of biodiversity because some plants might go extinct, and then generally it can lead to reduced crop yield and food production. So thank you. See you in the next class.